Conceptually, this is the network that you and I are going to build. It is a single/24 network provided by router R1, which in my case is my home router. We can draw this network in another way, showing more details about the virtualization of the various parts. Virtualize PC 1, 2, 3, and 4 on VMware Workstation. The 4 devices, the 4 PCs, are connected to the VMnet 0. VMnet 0 is bridged out on my laptop's Wi-Fi Ethernet adapter. This means that the /24 network provided by router R1 is extended into Workstation on VMnet 0, providing the same network or that network to our 4 devices, PC 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let us see how you and I set this up in Workstation. Let us bring up our Workstation. Let us bring up the virtual network editor. For some weird reason, it doesn't show that it is bridged, which it normally does. I think this is a bug on the VMware Workstation side, because when I click the change settings, we will see here that sure enough, the VMnet 0 is set to bridged. It is bridged to my laptop's Wi-Fi connector. Let us also check that that is true. I'll bring in my Windows box adapters here. And sure enough, the name is given here in this box, and we can see that we are connected to the wireless adapter as we expected. Where is the wireless adapter in our drawing? We will take a look at that. In virtual network adapter, we had the adapter right here. In our Windows box, the adapter was listed here in the network connections. So this is the adapter, and over here on our drawing, the adapter is right here. This is where we have the Wi-Fi adapter on the laptop, on the host computer in our drawing. So set up VMnet 0 to connect to your Wi-Fi adapter or to your wired Ethernet adapter. It doesn't matter whether you go Wi-Fi or you go wired, it will work either way. Now that our VMnet 0 is bridged, we have to connect PC 1, PC 2, PC 3, and PC 4 to VMnet 0. So check that your PCs 1, 2, 3, 4, and that they are all connected to VMnet 0. If not, then connect them to VMnet 0. We are in PC 1 here. And if we look at the settings for PC 1, we can see that PC 1 network adapter is connected to VMnet 0. And I can see here that PC 3 is not connected to VMnet 0. I'll correct that. And it's VMnet 0. Okay. PC 4 is on VMnet 0. Now, what IP addresses should you choose for your devices over here, PC 1, 2, 3, and 4? You have to use IP addresses that are not used by your router 1 and your external devices connected to your home network, if that is where you are. You will have your smartphones, your tablets, your printer, your whatever device also on this network. So you have to not collide with those IP addresses. This means that we have to look inside our router to see what IP addresses we can use. For this, I will log into my home router. I'm logging into the IP address .1, as you can see up here, 192.168.1.1, because that is where my router is located. On my router here, I have to navigate to the network section. And what we're interested in is what IP addresses are being handed out by our router. And we can see that it is handing out 192.168.30 until 60. So these addresses should be avoided. So I have chosen over here 61, 64, 63, and 62, and they are certainly outside of that range. In the same way, you will have to go into the router that you are attached to, whether it be in your workplace or you're at home or in the school, and check what IP addresses do you have available. Now you check one by one that network settings on each PC are for the network that we have over here. First, I check PC1 here. It's a Ubuntu machine. I disable networking, edit connections. I have a connection here called MQTT static 61, as that is the IP address that I have chosen for my PC1. Double click that. And what you have to set up here, you can set any name that you think is relevant and descriptive. You type in the static IP address, the network mask, and the gateway. The gateway has to be the gateway of your home router. In my case, it is the home router. So that is going over the bridge over here. When your PC1 has something for the default gateway, it will go all this way here over to the home router as being the default gateway, and from there on out on the internet. Also set a DNS server. In this case, I have chosen the well-known Google DNS server 8888. If you don't do that, you will not be able to use symbolic URLs. So everything is fine here for our PC1, so I'll simply cancel that. I will re-enable networking here. Click the network icon again and select the connection that you have just created. In my case, MQTT static.61, and we're good to go. I'll ping dr.dk here, and yes, I have internet connection from PC1. Moving on to PC2, disable networking, edit connections. I have called the network connection MQTT static IP address, network mask, gateway, and DNS server. Everything is as it should be for PC2. Moving on to PC3. Oops, and that doesn't look correct. If you look at this here, so we have to do the correct settings here according to our diagram over here for PC3 down here. Don't forget your DNS server. I'll change the name here to MQTT_.62. Save that. And that is working. There was a little delay. The app had to run. PC4. I think we will actually set PC4 here to do DHCP, i.e. PC4 will fetch its IP address from the DHCP service on our router R1 here. In this case, this will be from my home router out on the physical network. So let us do the settings on PC4. I'll change the name to MQTT_DHCP. And I'll change the IP setting method to automatic DHCP. We have to delete the static IP in order for that to be inactive. And I'll also take away the DNS server. Both IP address, default gateway, and DNS server pointer will be set from the DHCP service from our home router. And we save that. Re-enable networking. And choose our DHCP. It will take a bit of time for the DHCP to fetch the IP address. And the connection is established, and we can now check what our IP address then is. And PC4 here was assigned the 192.168.141 by the DHCP service from our home router, or the router that you are connected to in your workplace or at home or in school. So this finalizes our bridged network setting here and our 4 PCs, our 4 networking devices. You will have to go through these settings for the bridge and for your 4 devices also. Get it all working, and we can move on to use our little network here to work with the MQTT Python programs. We will do that in the next video.